Hi, I'm Debbie Bowie, helping you win the war against paper. Today I want to talk to you about what papers to keep. Part of the reason people keep a lot of paper is they're not sure what they should keep and what they can get rid of. They're afraid to make a mistake and need a piece of paper that they've pitched. So I thought I'd give you some guidelines about what paper to keep. The paper you want to keep is paper that you could possibly need to refer to in the future. One type of paper that's a very good idea to keep are tax papers. It's recommended that you keep your tax records for at least 3 years. If you run a business, to keep them for at least 7 years. At the end of those 3 years and 7 years, it's okay to get rid of the supporting documentation, but keep the forms for each year forever. Other papers you might consider keeping: receipts. I remember having a basket full of receipts, not knowing what the heck to do with them because I didn't stop and think about it. What receipts do I need to keep? And over time I figured out that the receipts to keep first are the ones where I might return them. I'm still within that window of time that I could return an object. Another category of receipts to keep are of things that you have a warranty for the length of the warranty. After that, you really don't need to keep them unless you want to keep them as proof that you own the item. And that's another category of receipts to keep, are for those major purchases that you made. So that if your house burns down or someone steals things from your house, you have proof that you own the items. I recommend that you get a fire-safe box if you're going to be keeping receipts and trying to have them available if you do have a fire. Get a fire-safe box for those important receipts. Other papers are up to you. It's helpful to have papers of your insurance policies because that tells you your coverage. It tells you the length of your coverage. But credit card bills, do you need to keep them? That's up to you. If you refer to them, if you go back to them to look for proof of purchase or to see what you spent in a particular month, by all means keep them. But if you never touch them again, there is no reason to keep them. If you get rid of them, be sure to shred them because you don't want anybody getting your credit card number. Bank statements. Do you need to keep bank statements? How often do you refer to them? Nowadays, you can get your bank statement online. You don't even need to keep the paper. I recommend that you keep them for no longer than a year if you're going to keep them. I run a business, so I keep my bank statements for a year. And then I put my business bank statements with my tax papers in case I need to refer to them for business purposes. For the personal ones, I don't need to keep them. But if you're in doubt about that or you feel funny about getting rid of them, one of the things that works for me is to put all those bank statements with my papers that I'm saving for taxes. And as an aside, what I do for taxes each year to control the paper so I know where it is I get a great big envelope, a great big one, and I label it current year. For this year it's 2015, dispose of, and I put 7 years later in 2022, and I put the supporting documentation in there and store that in my attic. The file itself, the tax return itself, I store in a cabinet in my office if I need it. Now, if those begin accumulating and it's eating up your file cabinet space, they can also be stored in the attic. Other papers, it's up to you. What are you comfortable with? Do you want to keep your water bill and your electric bill? Do you go back and refer to them? The only papers we're keeping are papers you use for some reason. The only time I've ever had to go back and get a lot of old papers is when I've had to file an application for a mortgage. They want all kinds of stuff. The reality is you can get many of those pieces of paper by going back to your bank. There are other ways to get them, or go back to your accountant. You don't need to keep them all, but you have to live within your comfort zone. So You don't need to keep near as much as you think you do. Only keep those papers that have some sort of sentimental value or that you use, that you will refer to, that you will access again to solve a problem. By keeping less, you're keeping the energy in your space more positive and lightening your load considerably. So, keep less, feel better.